Hello guys, and welcome to another tutorial session here on my channel. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to draw a section through a building just like what we have on the screen. So if you take a look at the complete plan here, you could see I have a complete building plan with the approach, the rear elevation, the right elevation and left elevation, and also with the ground, the first floor and the roof floor of this very particular plan. So this was a drawing I made in one of my practice, and I want to specifically show you how to draw a section through a building with this very particular plan. Now, generally in architectural building plan, the section of a building is one of the most important parts, as it reveals some of the hidden elements in that building. It also shows most of the elements which are used for constructions, such as the roof element, and also the element that are used for the foundation, and also the depth of the foundation of a particular building. And as such, it is very important that you have a sectional view of an architectural or a building plan, just like what we have on the screen. Now, to get started with showing you how to draw this plan, or before we get started with this tutorial, if you're new to this channel, please hit on the subscribe button for more videos like this. And if you have been following me, once again, thank you for stopping by for another session of this tutorial. And with that being said, let's get started with this tutorial. Now, to show you how to draw a section plan through a building like this, I'm going to make use of one of the 3D floor plan which I made in my drawing, so you could actually have a clear understanding of how a section of a plan look like before we can go back to the previous plan. So this is a 3D floor plan which I made in one of my drawings, and I'm going to generate a 2D section plan using the section plane drawing here in Autocad. So from this drawing, I'm going to change the view from southwest isometric to a top view, and I have the drawing like this. And now I'll pick the section plane tool, and I can draw from the top vertically downward like this to create a section. And after that, I will switch back to southwest isometric view, so you could see a section through this building looking like this. Now again, I will split this viewport into two, so I will click on this icon and go to viewport configuration list, and I will select two vertical. On the right side or the left side of this viewport, I have the drawing in 3D, and on the left side of this viewport, I will generate the 2D section of this very particular 3D floor plan. So from here, I will switch the viewport from southwest to right elevation, or preferably a left elevation of this. So again, I'll click on the viewport, and from the top here we have generate section block, and if we click on this, we can click on generate section block. So this is going to generate either a 2D section or elevation, or a 3D section. And from before we do that, we could go to section settings, and we can click down here to make some changes in the settings. For instance, the background lines, I don't want background lines, so here I have hidden lines as no, so as not to cause some confusion in the process of visualizing the 2D section of this plan. So when I have this set, I'll click on OK, and the next thing I'll click on create this 2D section view of this very particular plan. So I can click anywhere on the screen, and the scale factor here for X is 1 and also for Y is 1, and the rotation here is 0. So you could see a 2D section drawing of this very particular building, which is generated by Autocad itself. So on the right side we have the 2D section, and on the left side of the viewport we have this very particular building in 3D. So I'm going to use this as an illustration for you to grab the idea of how you go about drawing the section of a building in Autocad. So if you take a look at this building in the viewport in 3D, from the right of this very particular building to the left, you have this part of the building, and on the right side of the viewport, this is represented here with just thin yellow lines, and then we have the window part also here that is represented. So on this very particular part there was no cut on the building, so you have it with just yellow lines, just like what we have. Then if you move across this section line or the plane of this section, let's orbit, you could see that we have a cut on this very particular wall at this position. And back to the 2D section, we have this cut as well, and that is shaded with a gray color at this very particular point. Again, back to the 3D, if we keep moving, we can see that immediately after the cut on the wall, we have a door that is positioned at this very particular position or at this end, and that door is also represented with a yellow line at this point. There was no cut on the door as well. Then after that, we have this part of the wall which is cut at this very particular point. It happens to be a thin line. Okay, it wasn't cut anywhere, so this happens to be a thin line just to show the edge of the wall. And then after that, we have a door that is next to it, so we have the door opening also with this yellow line. And as we keep moving across, if you take a look at this also, we have this very particular portion of the wall that is being cut at the top, and below here is an opening. So if you take a look at the section, we have the top part of this being shaded, and then below here is just an opening also which is not shaded, showing that there is an opening at this very particular point. And then if we orbit again, after this portion we have the door, and that is represented here with just an opening with a yellow line, just like this. So then lastly, we have on this part a cut on the wall which is represented with a shade on this 2D section of the building. And then at the top of this building we have a cut on the roof. So this is somewhere below the pitch of the roof, so you can see that that portion of the roof is also shaded. Meanwhile, the top or the pitch of the roof which is not being cut is represented with a thin yellow line. So this should give you a clear view or an understanding of how a section should look like. So the part which is being cut with the section line should be shaded, and the part which is not being cut should be represented with an opening. It could be a door opening, it could be a window opening, or any other opening. Now with this illustration, now let's go back to the plan which we already have. So this is a section of the plan which I made, and then also to show you for better understanding of how you can go about drawing this section plan, we're going to split our viewport into two. So we click on this icon and we go to viewport configuration list. We also select two vertical. Now on the left side of this viewport, I will have the section of this very particular building just like this, so we could make reference to this. And then on the right side of the viewport, which we have the various plan which is going to guide us in drawing the section, the floor plan, the ground floor plan, the first floor plan, and also the roof plan. To get started with drawing this particular section of the floor plan, we're going to make use of the construction line command. But before that, make sure that on your layers here, your layers is being set to elevation. Of course, these are different layers which I've created, and if you don't know how to create layers, you can make reference to videos on my channel. So this, we have the elevation layers activated, and then back to our viewport or our drawing, we'll type XL for construction line command, and we'll press enter, and we'll type V for vertical, and then this section line is represented at this very particular position with the arrow pointing down. That is to say that we're going to look across from the left to right as we move downward in order to visualize all the elements that are found in this particular building. So at this very particular point where the section line starts, we're going to click here. So the construction line here is serving more like a guideline so that we can be able to identify where these elements are placed at the various portion of this building. So here we're going to click at this point where we have the section line cutting the window, and then we move across the section line from the left to the right. We're going to encounter this door at this very particular point, so the section line is also cutting through the door. And then looking downward also, we're going to encounter this door, so we can click here and click here. Note that this is a guideline, so after this we can then draw the elevation and represent where the door is located. Now as we keep moving, also the section line is going to cut the wall at this very particular position. Again, the section line is going to encounter the edge of this wall at that point, and if you look down, we also have a window representation at this point here. And then again, we follow the section line, we move across, we have the edge of the wall, we also have this edge of wall at this very particular position. Again, we have this edge of the wall at that position, and this happened to intersect with the door, the double swing door which we have at this position. And then also we have the door opening here, so we also have that represented. And then next to that, from the section line, we have the edge of this wall at these two positions, just like this. And then towards here we have the staircase area, and then we also have a cut on this wall, just like this. Now when we are done with this, we're going to zoom and we can pan down here, type L for line command. We're going to draw a horizontal line which will help to serve as a guide for us to draw the elevation. So this horizontal line is serving as a ground level, and I'll type O for offset. I'm going to offset a distance of 450 millimeters for my plinth or my DPC level. So I'll offset from the ground level to the floor level by 450 millimeters. I'll repeat offset, and this time around I'll offset by 3150 for the height of the building, including that of the slab. Repeat offset again for the height of the door from the floor level. This is going to be 2100 millimeters, so I'll offset from the floor level to the top by 2100. Again, I'll repeat offset, and from the floor level to the window level, which is the sill height, that is going to be 900 millimeters. And then I can offset up just like this. Now when you're done with this, we're going to trim some of the lines which we don't actually need. So we type TR for trim command, and I'm going to select this line as a cutting edge, and then I can trim off these lines just like this, and we press enter. Again, we're going to repeat the trim command, and we're going to select this line, this other extreme line as a cutting edge, and then we can trim off these lines just like this. We can also trim off these lines just like this. Now when you're done with this, we can then go back to the plan which we have, and then try to identify the position where the elements are placed. So here we have a window first, and then from here, this happened to be a small window of 700 millimeter height. So again, we're going to offset from the floor level by a distance of 1400 millimeters for this very particular window. So this is 1400. Now before we represent this window, we're going to go back to layers, and we're going to select the layer for windows, and then we can then pick a rectangle tool, and we can draw a rectangle at this position to represent that window. And then we go back to the plan. Again, when we look across, we are going to see this door at this very particular position. So we repeat rectangle command, and this door is right from this top down to this very particular floor level. So this is still on the Windows layer, so we can select this, go to layers, and we're going to move this to the door layer, and then we have it like this, and then we can escape. Again, when we follow this section line, we're going to see the door, or we're going to encounter this door. So you could also look at this from the already made section which I have here. So these lines are only serving as a guideline, so we can use it to identify the position of the doors and the windows. So we repeat the rectangle tool, and we're going to draw from this very particular top to this position, and then we are going to also draw. We also have a window at this position, so we repeat the rectangle command, and we can draw from this position to this position where we have the window. So you make sure you identify or follow the guidelines properly, so that you can have the windows, the doors located in the right position. Again, we're going to repeat rectangle command for this very particular door, so we can have it represented at this position just like this. Now this these are still on the Windows layer, so I'm going to type MA for match property, and I will select this as a source object, and we can match it up like this. So this we match it up like this, and that is okay. So when we're done with this, we can actually have these guidelines deleted, and also the guidelines for this door, we can have it deleted, that of the window. So we just select the guidelines which are not needed again, and we're going to have them deleted from this drawing, just like this. Also we select this and this, and we have it deleted like this. Now after that, we're going to design the doors and the windows. So I will use offset commands. I will type O for offset, and I'll use offset of 100 and offset inside. I'll also offset this inside, and I'll equally offset this inside, just like this. So from this plan which we have already, this section elevation which we have, we can see the direction of the opening of the door. So we type L for line command, and we can design this like this, and also design this like this, and also design this very particular door like this. Again, don't forget that we have to match properties. This is door and it's supposed to have a different color, so we're going to select this and we press enter. So we have the door and we have the window with different colors. Now we will select this, and this explode, so type X for explode. We can equally design this using offset of 50 millimeters. So I'll offset this way, I'll offset inside and offset inside. Take for instance the frame of the door and the frame of the window, so we just have something of this nature, and then we can delete this line which are not longer needed. Again, we're going to trim the line at the bottom here, because we have the ground level and the DPC level. So this is ground level, and here we have the floor level. So some of these lines are just walls which are not needed. So we just type TR for trim command, and we're going to trim, select this line as a cutting edge and press enter. I'm going to trim off this line, I'm going to trim off this line, I'm equally going to trim off this line and this line. They are not needed in this very particular drawing. Likewise, I'll trim off this line just like this. So these are not needed, and also this is not needed. So we have this, we can then press enter. Now with this, we have this portion at the top of the door which is like an arc, and also at the top of the window which is like an arc at this very particular point. So that is about a distance of 2400 millimeters from the floor. So I'll use offset, and I'll offset by 2400 from the floor level, and I will go up this way, and then I'll use the trim command so that I can be able to have these at some of this point like this, and then we don't need it here. And then we're going to make use of the fillet command, and I'll type F for fillet. The radius, I'm going to use 150 millimeters or 200 as a radius, and type M for multiple. I can then, okay, before I do that, I have to still trim again. So I will type TR for trim, and I'll trim at this very particular point. So we have to trim here, and then repeat the fillet command. We can then fillet this portion, and we can as well fillet this portion just like this, and then we're going to trim the remaining part of this. So we have this trim out, and then this part is deleted. So now we have this, then we can trim the remaining part or the top portion of this drawing. So type TR for trim, and this is our cutting edge. We can then select this construction line and trim it out of our drawing so it could look a bit neat just like this. So we have this in our drawing, and then we still have one part of this which is not trimmed, so we type or use fillet tool to join this. So we type F for fillet, and with the same radius we can fillet this very particular portion, and that is going to look like this. So the next thing we're going to do is to design the foundation of this very particular building, just like what we have here. But before we do that, we can then create this portion which we have here on this part of the building with a hatch, and this is going to be the decking or the slab and the beam. So for that, I'm going to design this, and I'll offset from the top here for the slab, which is 150. So I'll type O for offset, and offset of 150. I can offset down this way, and then I'm going to trim. So type TR for trim, and I will select I'll just have this trim just like this, trim these portions just like this. Okay, we're not supposed to trim this. This is our slab, so we're going to trim the inside part of this. So I'll repeat trim command, and I will select these lines as the cutting edge, and I'll press enter, and then I can trim the inside part of this where I'm supposed to have the slab. So I'll trim just like this, and then I'll also trim this part. Then lastly, I'll trim this part, and I'll press enter. Again, I'll repeat the trim command, or the offset rather, for the slab or for the beam. So I'll repeat offset, and I'm going to assume the depth of the beam as 300 millimeters from the top of the slab, just like this. We can then trim the lines outside. We'll trim this off, we trim this off, and we trim this. We can trim this, we can trim this, we can trim this. And then one more offset, or we can copy this. Select, right click, copy selection, copy from this point and to this point. We can then trim this very portion. So we have the slab and the beam portion at this very particular position. Again, at the top of the window, the top of the door and the window, we have a lintel beam at the top. So we use offset of 200 millimeters. We can offset this line up, we can also offset this, and we use match properties, and then we match this with this, and then with this, and we press enter. Now after this, we're going to design the foundation of this very particular building. So from this very particular level, which is the ground level, we're going to offset down by a distance of 1000 millimeters, which is going to be, I assume, to be the depth of this foundation. So I'll offset down this way by 1000, and then I'll use the extend command. So I'll type TR for trim and hold the shift command. So this is going to be the edge, and then I'll hold the shift command and have this extended just like this. And then I'll press enter, and so I have this part. Next, again, I'm going to design from this very particular ground floor level, which is at the top here. We're going to offset down by a distance of 80 millimeters for floor finish. So if you take a look at this section, we have this part which we have 80 millimeter floor finishing. So here we're going to offset a distance of 80 millimeters for floor finishing, and we can then trim part of this. So we're going to trim this portion. We're going to also going to trim this okay, so this is not the right place to do that anyway. So this is supposed to be at the top here. So repeat offset of 80 millimeters, and then I'll offset from this portion down this way, and then I can use the trim command. So I'll trim this very particular part, and I'll also trim this I think that should be the top. So we trim this portion, and then we trim this portion for the floor finishings. So we also trim this portion. So this is 80 millimeters thickness for floor finishing, and after that we can offset down by a distance of 150 millimeters for the thickness of overside concrete. So we select this line and we offset down by 150, and we can trim. So this is a casted concrete of 50 millimeters on the top of this foundation. So we're going to trim the edges of this wall just like this. So this casting is on top of the foundation, on top of the wall, before we can then build the substructure, or the superstructure rather, of this very particular building. And after that we have the hardcore, where we have hardcore fillings, and then finally we, from the bottom, we are going to have the blinding and the base of the foundation. So from the bottom of this, we're going to offset a distance of 80, let's say 80 millimeters for the blinding, and then we're going to offset this foundation to the left and to the right by 300. So repeat, offset of 300 millimeters, and we can offset to the left and to the right just like this. Now when we are done with the offset, we can trim part of the portion which is not needed. So I'm going to type TR for trim command, and I'll select this entire part of this as the edge, and I'm going to trim this one after the other. So let's do this way. And when we're done, we can press enter. The next thing, we're going to offset up by a distance of 200 from this very particular level for the base of the foundation. So repeat, offset, and this time around this an offset of 200 from this level. So we offset up by 200, and again we're going to offset this foundation to the left and to the right by 150. But before we do that, let's have part of this drawing trim out so that we can have a neat drawing just like this. So we trim these portions, trim this portion, and we can trim this portion. Then we use the fillet command, and we're going to fillet. So the radius here is 0, and we can join part of these lines up. So type M for multiple, we can then fillet these lines. So after this, again we're going to offset for the base of this foundation. So I'll repeat, offset of about 150, and I'll offset to the left and to the right just like this. And then we can trim part of this so that it look good, just like what we have here. So I'll type TR for trim, and I'll select this entire as the cutting edge, and I'll press enter. Then I'll go ahead and trim it one after the other just like this. Alright, so pretty good. We have the foundation design looking like this, and the next thing we can do is to apply hatch and then design where we have the earth well compacted earth fillings here. So here I'll use the spline command. So type XP for spline, XPL for spline, and I can draw this spline just like this from this position, randomly just like this, and I'll close it up here, and then I can hatch this portion So I'll type H for hatch command, I'll press enter, and then from the hatch menu here I'm going to select the hatch for 8, and then I'll set the angle of this to 45 degrees. I can set the scale to say 10, and I'll apply the hatch over this portion. Let's increase the scale from 10 to 15, and we're going to have something like this. We can press enter. Now this hatch is in different colors, so we're going to select this, and on the layers tab we're going to move this to the layer we have already labeled hatch 2, just like this. Again, I'm going to increase the scale of this to about 30 and press enter. So the hatch is looking like this, and I can delete the spline which I created already, like this. Alright, so now also we have on this part of this drawing we have the staircase area. So we have other part, and here we have the staircase area, and to design this staircase area I'm going to use this pattern. So still I'll trim part of this line, so type the R for trim, and we can trim part of this line. So this line, we can remove this line, we can extend this line. So this line is going to be extended, we can extend this, and we can trim this line off. And after that we can select the line command. Now before we do that, let's return back to elevation layer. So we go to elevation, I will type L for line command, we locate the center of this very particular vertical line, and we go out by 900 millimeters. So this is the midway of this very particular wall. So our staircase is going to span, or is going to start from the floor and then halfway of the very particular floor, then finally to the top of this first floor, or the ground, the first second floor of the building. Now after that we'll repeat line command, and from this very particular position we're going to click here and we move down by the riser, or the riser of this staircase we use 150, and then the tread we're going to use 200 millimeters, and we press enter. We can select these two and type J for join command. Then we're going to copy this, so right click, copy selection, we can copy just like this repeatedly. And then finally we can then draw a line to join this at the bottom of this very particular drawing. So we can select these lines and type J for join. So we have this entire line joined up together like this. Next we're going to make use of this and mirror this, so type MI for mirror command, and we can mirror this from this very particular position. And after mirroring this, we can move this up by a distance of 150 millimeters. So type M for move, and this is going to be our point. We can go up by 150, and we have this. After that we can draw the sloping part of the staircase. So I'm going to start from this point to this point, and then offset by 75 millimeters. Then I can delete this line which is not needed. I'll use trim/extend to extend this line. So I can extend this way, and I will extend this way. Again, repeat line command, I can draw a line from here to this position, and I'll offset by 75 this way. This can be deleted. Again, I will use trim extend command, so I can trim and extend this. And then we're going to explode this line, so select this line, type X for explode. Again, we can make use of the trim command /extend. So we extend this line this way, and this line can equally be extended as well. Now when you're done with this, we can fillet and trim part of the lines which are not needed. I'm going to trim off this line, and here we're going to also draw a line to join this up this way, and we can trim this part of the line just like this. And then finally we can draw a line going up this way, and then this line, or we can copy this and copy this and right click, copy selection, and then we have this point, so this is not needed. Okay, so we can delete this as well. Use line command to join these two portions like this, and we can trim these lines and as well trim this line at this portion. Alright, so we have the staircase design like this, and this looked pretty good at this point in time. And from here we can at least apply hatch to part of this very particular section. So I'm going to type H for hatch command, and first I'm going to hatch the hardcore fillings here. So I'll go to the pattern of section, and here I'm going to select gravels, and then I can change the angle to 0, and let's go with this scale and see if we can make use of this, and then we just hatch like this. After this we press enter, and we can select this, go to layers, and we set the layer to the hatch layer which we already created. And after that we're going to repeat hatch command. Now we're going to hatch the foundation. So here we're going to use a hatch pattern of let's go with AR concrete, and let's increase this, reduce the scale to 0.5. so this is 0.5, and hatch concrete, press enter. We can hatch this area, we can equally hatch this area. We can hatch this portion, just like this. Alright, then we have the lintel beam and the window, and the door and the window. And after that we can press enter to accept the hatch. Lastly, we're going to use match properties, or we select this entire hatch, and then we can move it to the layer for hatch, and this is hatch 2. Okay, select the hatch, and then we go to the layers and we move this to hatch 2, and we have this like this. And then the next thing we're going to do is to hatch the wall. So we repeat the hatch command, and I'm going to go with a different pattern. Let's say this very particular pattern, and I can hatch this. Okay, let's change the angle to 0 and see. So we hatch this way. Okay, we can reduce the scale to 20, and then the angle to 0. and we can hatch this, we can hatch this, and then we can hatch this. Alright, so we are done with this. We can escape and select this very particular hatch again. We're going to change the layer to the hatch layer, so we select hatch 2, and then we have the hatch like this. And lastly, we're going to apply hatch on the finished level of this very particular section. So repeat the hatch command, and I'm going to go with let's say a different scale or a different pattern. So I'm going to go with this very particular pattern. Set the angle to 90 degrees, and let's see what we get. Okay, so the scale here is too much. We can reduce this to 10, or preferably to 1, or maybe 5. Okay, this look a bit better. We can as well apply that here and also at this portion. So this is for the floor finish, and again we're going to select this and move this to the hatch layer. So go to layers, and we can move this to hatch 2, and then we have this. So we're done with the foundation of this very particular section of the building. The next we're going to consider is how we can draw the first floor at the very top of this section or this building plan. So this is a ground floor plan. Let's look at how we can draw the section for the first floor plan. Again, to do this, we're going to make use of the construction line command. So type XL for construction line and press enter. Again, working with the construction or the section line rather, moving from the left to the right across, we can encounter different elements, both the wall, the windows, and the doors. So we type XL for construction line and we type V for vertical. And at this point, we're having the wall, a cut on the wall from the section line. At this point, we have a cut and we have a door at that position. And when we look down, we can see there is a door located at this position, and at this point we have the edge of a wall. Here also we have a door at this position. So as we move across from left to right of this section line, we're going to encounter different elements. So at this point also we have the edge of the wall, and then here we have the door at this very particular position. Then we have a cut on the wall at this very particular position, and then we have the staircase area, and then finally we have a cut on the window at this level. So now we have this, we have been able to draw the guidelines for drawing the section elevation. We can then use the line command and draw a horizontal line just like this, and we're going to offset up by a distance of 3,150. So we offset up from the floor level to the height of the building 3,150. Repeat offset for the door height as 2,100, and we repeat offset for the sill height as 900 millimeters. So we offset up like this, and after that we can trim portion of this drawing which are not needed. So we select this and press enter. So this is our cutting edge. We can then trim off this. We can as well trim off this. So we repeat trim command. We select these two lines as our cutting edge, and we can trim off this, and as well we can trim off these lines which are not needed. So if you take a look at this section, at the top here is a cut on the wall, and after that we have a door at this position, a cut on the door. So we're going to go over to the layers, and then we activate the door layer, and we can select a rectangle tool, and then we draw a door at this position down to the floor level. And again, back to the plan, we have a door at this position, so we repeat rectangle command, and we can draw a door from here to this position. And again, back to the plan, we have moving across the section line, we have another door represented here, so we repeat the rectangle command, we can draw this very particular door at this position. So if you take a look at the section plan which we have already, you can see the position of these two doors at this position, or at this very particular place. So again, we go ahead and we can identify other element, and as we move across, we have the edge of a wall, and then we have this very particular door. So we use rectangle tool, and we can draw from here to this position for that door. And then lastly, we have a window at this position. So again, we repeat rectangle tool, and we can draw from this position to this position for the window. So we use match properties. Of course, this is still in door layer, so we select a window and match with this, and we can press enter. Now we can delete some of these guidelines which are no longer needed. So even the guidelines for the doors, we can have them deleted. The guidelines for these doors as well can be deleted. And then we have a neat drawing just like this, and then after that we can trim the remaining part of this construction line which are not needed. So we trim off this and we press enter. Again, let's design this door to look a bit good, so we offset by 100 millimeters, offset this inside, and offset this inside. We're going to explode this, so select this and this, type X for explode, repeat offset. Now I'm going to go with 50, so I'm offsetting this for the frame of the door and less in the frame of the window, so we have something of this nature. And then lastly, we can design the opening of the door like this. Alright, so we now have this. Now if you look at the section which we already have, from the top of the slab to the height of the ceiling, we have a height of 2,900. So before we move this, we're going to offset for that very particular height. So use offset command, and I'm offsetting by 2,900, and I'll offset up to get that. And then after this, we can then join the part of these drawings together to get a full section. So I'm going to select the ground floor and the foundation which I already produced the elevation, and type M for move, and I can move this somewhere close like this. And the next thing I'm going to do is to join the top portion or the second floor or the first floor of the elevation, section elevation, to the ground floor elevation. So we already have a straight line here, so we're going to delete this line, so we can then select this, and then we type M for move, select this point, and then we can move to this point. So gradually we are getting this complete elevation almost the same like what we have on this other side. So the next thing we have to work on is the roof of this particular section. So in the section elevation which we have, we can see different elements. We have the ceiling, joist and the ceiling noggins. We also have the rafters and other elements. So I'm working with this. Also, we're going to design exactly the same thing for this particular section. So from section which we have here, we have from the top or the floor decking level or the slab level to this level of the ceiling as 900 millimeters, and then after that we have the ceiling. So the ceiling, let's take an offset of 80 millimeters for the ceiling. So I'm going to offset, so type O for offset, or before that let's trim. So I'll type the R for trim, and I'll trim these portions just like this. And then after that I can offset up by 80 millimeters for the ceiling. So I'll offset up just like this and just like this. And then we have this drawing. Again, we're going to extend the top of this wall so that we can have a space for the ceiling, noggins and the joist. So from this line I'll offset up by a distance of say 200 millimeters. I'll offset this top line by 200 and then trim / extend these walls to go up by the same distance with the offset which I just made. So this is going up all the way to that height. So we extend, alright. When we're done with that, we can then select this line and have it deleted just like this. And then I'm going to trim part of these lines again, but before we do that I'm going to offset to keep this outside for reference purpose. So type the R for trim. I can just trim this, and I'll equally trim this, I'll equally trim this, and I'll trim this. Okay, I'll trim this like this. And then here we have a wall at the top of this drawing. So I'm going to use offset command, and our wall thickness is 2 to 5. So I'll offset this and I'll offset this way. Use line command and we can trim, or before that we'll trim / extend. So we extend this line and extend this, and then we can trim just like this. We are also going to trim this line, and then we can as well trim this line, and we can trim here for the ceiling. Okay, we can as well trim this portion. So after that we can match properties. So this is in a different layer, so we match this up and we can match this up just like this. So we have the ceiling and we have the top of the wall just like this. Now after this, the next thing I'm going to design is okay, we haven't included the beam at the top, lintel beam at the window and the door level. So I'll use offset of 200 and I'll offset this up, and I'll equally offset this up. Okay, offset of 200 and offset this up and have this deleted. Again, we use match properties. We can match this with this, and then we can equally okay, repeat offset. We offset this up, then use match properties. We match this and this. Now the next thing we're going to design is the wall plate at the top of this wall. So I'm going to use the rectangle tool and the dimension for my so before we do that, let's change over to the elevation layer. So go to elevation, and then I'll use the rectangle tool, and I can draw a rectangle of 175 millimeter length by 150 millimeter height, just like this. And then I will use line. Okay, preferably we can use 175 millimeters by 100, 175 millimeters by 100, and then use line command. We design the wall plate just like this. Then we can copy this to the portion to the various top of the wall. So right click, copy selection, and then after that we can press enter. Now we have one more trimming, so we trim this line. And after that we can then move this very particular line at the top to the base, or to be at the top of the wall plate. So select this line, right click and move. We can locate the center of this and move it down just like this. Have this wall plate deleted, and then we repeat the hatch command, and we're going to hatch this area. Okay, so we are having this. We're going to use match properties to change this. So we have the hatch for the wall instead of this. Okay, so let's go ahead and use this. Then we can use the match property tool. So go to match properties, and we can select this, and we match this and press enter. So we have the right hatching on the wall just like this. Again, use hatch, and we can hatch the beam here at the top of the door and the beam at the top of the window. And we use match properties. We can select this and we can match it with this. Okay, so let's repeat match properties. Select this, and we can match with this, and we have that hatch there already. Alright, so now we're going to design our ceiling joist and our ceiling noggins. So we have the ceiling joist and the noggin here. So to design that, again back to the viewport on the right, I'll select the rectangle tool, and from this position I will draw, and I'll give this dimension 100 by 100, and I have something of this. Then I'll use line command. I can draw up this way. I'll use offset of 75 millimeters, and I'll offset this way. Use line command. I can design this like this. I can also design this like this, and after that I will select all of this and type B for block. I'll just call this ceiling and click on OK. I can pick a reference point. Now I'll mirror this outro, so select this and type MI for mirror and mirror it to this position. Again, select mirror, can mirror this. Alright, so when we mirror all of this, we can still copy and distribute across. So over here, I will select this, right click, copy selection, and I can copy to this position and distribute it all through. Alright, so we have the ceiling noggins and the joist just like this. Alright, the next thing we're going to prepare or to design is we have this very particular element, which is the tie beam. So we're going to design that. Before we do that, let's go over to the roof and also get the roof elevation. So we can zoom And over here we have the roof of this very particular floor plan. So I'm going to select this hatching and go to isolate and hide object, so I can be able to draw the elevation of this roof. I'll use the line command and I'll draw a horizontal line like this. And the easiest way to get the elevation of this roof is if you look at this roof from this direction, you can actually see that we have, if you look at this roof from this direction, you can actually see that we have this very particular portion as the this is going to be the portion of the roof that is going to show on the elevation. So we're going to copy this, or we can draw the elevation from this other side before we can flip it. So we're going to select this elevation or roof plan and type M for move command and move towards this way. So we can then draw a horizontal line just like this, and then we select this very face of the roof because our elevation or our section line is pointing towards this direction. So we're going to see this particular face of the roof just like what we have here. So we're going to select this and we can zoom, right click, copy selection, copy directly from this base point, and make sure this is directly vertical going upward. We can copy where we have our horizontal line, and don't forget that we have a section line at this very particular position. It's cutting this roof at this very particular position. So we're going to use construction line command. So type XL and vertical, so we can have a cut on this roof like this, and then we can then go back to our roof, the elevation, and we're going to draw a horizontal line from this position. And before that, we're going to explode. So type X for explode, and then we offset this line out by a distance of 100. Select this part of the lines and join. Type J for join and offset by 100 millimeters outward. And then after that, we can trim part of these lines. So here we have this portion which is being trimmed out, and this portion being trimmed out. This portion is also trimmed out, and this portion is as well trimmed out. This portion is trimmed out, and this portion is as well trimmed out. So from this roof level, we're going to have the line going up this way. So we use the line command, and we can also draw this line going this way, and then we can use the fillet command to fillet these lines and also fillet these lines, and then we can have this line deleted. This line is also deleted. So our roof is going to look like this, and then we're going to mirror this. So select this roof and then type MI for mirror. We can then mirror this roof, and we're going to have this. So we said no, and we can erase this. Now after that, we're going to offset inside of this roof for the thickness of the roofing material. So I'm going to go with offset of 75 millimeters for the thickness of the roofing material, and then I'll repeat offset. But before that, let's join some of these lines. So we join this, fillet, and then we join. So type J for join, and then we can offset for the rafter. So this is going to be 150 millimeters, and we offset this inside just like this. Then we can produce a line, or we use our reference line. Can drag this line towards this way, and also drag this line to the right, and then we use trim slash extend. So we trim off these lines and we can extend this. We call it trim off these lines, and we can extend this very particular line. So we have the portion of the roof looking like this, and we can select this, right click, move selection, and we specify the base point, the center of this line, and we can move it directly to where we have this roof or this section. So that is going to be at this very particular portion. But before that, let's offset, because we have an element here, the tie beam, and that is about a 150 or 75 millimeters thereabout. So offset this up by 150. I'll offset this up, and then before we can then move this, so right click and go to move, locate the base point and also locate the midpoint of this, and then we can select this line and have it deleted just like this. Now the next thing we have to design here is the fascia board of this very particular roof. So you can take a look at this. We have a fascia board for this roof. So the fascia board here is we can design this using I'll use a rectangle tool, and I'll give the dimension of 400 by 500, and then I can zoom in to design this. Use line tool. I'll move this way by 150 millimeters. I'll go up by 150 millimeters. I'm also going to go this way by 150 millimeters, and then I'll equally go this way by, okay. I'll repeat line tool from top here. I'll move down by 150 millimeters, and I'll come this way by 150 millimeters, or we can just trace this line and have it joined like this. And I'll explode this rectangle, and I will delete this portion. I'll equally delete this portion. I'll use a fillet of radius about 300. Okay, fillet and radius of 300, and select multiple. You can fillet this line. I'll repeat fillet, and I'm going to use 100 as a radius. You can fillet these two lines. So we have the fascia board looking like this. We can then select this and type J for join, and then I'm going to move this from here. Okay, from this position we're going to draw a line vertically upward, and then we're going to offset a distance of 400 outward, just like this. And I'll extend this line, so extend this line to meet at this point, and then I can move this fascia board. So move, and I'll have it placed at this position. Okay, let's move again. Right click, move, and just place it here. Okay, this is perfect. We can then delete these lines, and I guess we can move this roof as well. So right click, move from this position, and then we trim. We can trim this part, and I'm going to mirror this fascia board. So right click, and before we do that, this line has to be extended. Right click, or we just pick the edge and extend to this position, and then select this type mi for mirror command. We locate the center of this line and we can mirror this. So we have, okay, this is now well placed, so I think we have a double line at this position. Let's see, we have a double line. Okay, let's repeat mirror tool. So right click or select the facial board, type mi for mirror, and we locate the center. Okay, so alright, so however we can still place this manually so that this actually fits in. So right click and go to move. We can then move this to fit in properly, and then we have a problem with this roof. It's not well placed, so here we can select this roof and then right click, try to move this to the center point. So we move and we have something like this. Okay, so this is good. So the next thing we have to do is to design the rafters, what we have here. So to do that, I'll use the line command and I will draw a horizontal or vertical line to the middle. I'll offset by 75 to the left and right. So offset to the left and right, and then I will select this and then copy selection from this base point. I'll copy a distance of 1200, and then we can distribute it to the left and to the right. So select this very particular, right click, copy selection, use this as a base point, and we can copy like this. Again, the same thing on this other side. And after that we can trim. So type TR for trim command, select this as a cutting edge. We can trim off this. We can equally trim off these lines. We can trim off this, and we can trim off this. Alright, so we pretty done with this elevation. So this is how it's going to look like. So if you can take a look at what we have and what is displayed here, we have almost the same thing. So the last thing, or one more thing I will do, is to hatch the ceiling area. So I will use the hatch command and I will hatch this like this. And this is okay. We can as well move this to the hatch layer. So we select the hatching and go to hatch 2, and we have this looking like this. Alright, so we have few things to do before we can finish this. Again, I'm going to hatch this concrete fissure, so repeat hatch, and I'll hatch this, and I'll also hatch this. Then match properties. So this is a concrete, so we have it like this. Pretty good. We're almost done with this section of the building. I hope you like this. Please, if you like this, don't forget to share, subscribe, and comment on this video for more tutorial videos like this. And to wrap this up, let's see how we can bring our test and our leaders to this very particular drawing. So this is the section already. I'm going to copy this text. So right click or select this text just like this. And then I'll right click, copy selection. I'll specify the base point, let's say to be this, and then right away to this position I'll place it here. Alright, so we have the text being placed in like this, and the next thing we can do here is to place our leaders. So on the Annotate tab we have multi-leader, and over here we can place a multi-leader just like this, and we click here. So let's call this well compacted, hardcore filling, and we press enter. So this is not visible. What we're going to do is, again, we match properties, so I'll just type MA for match properties, and I'll select this as a source and this as the destination, and this is placed just like this. So this is a leader. So this, you can actually go ahead and place your leaders and then label each of this part the way you wish, one after the other, both for the foundation detailing and for the roofing element. Alright, so we're going to stop here for this tutorial, and this is the end of the tutorial, this very particular video on how to draw a section of a building. I hope you like this video. I hope you've learned something. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in my next video.